And I'm back again this week with this week's lesson and tutorial right here on Ayers Academy, and we're here on the tennis court again today. But the topic today is elbows, and so I want to go over a couple of things, 2 or 3 things with the elbows. One, where to strike at on your elbow, the striking area of the elbow, and then the next thing is your elbow could be an offensive maneuver, an offensive technique, or number 3, the elbow could be a defensive counter to a technique. And then also kind of along with those is your body placement in time at the time of delivery, and leverage and footwork that kind of go in with that. So first, let's just look at the impact site of the elbow. So most elbows, when we think of an elbow, most of the time we see an elbow where someone's just striking an opponent with what I would call like a horizontal strike. So the striking point of the elbow should be right in here, all right, for most elbows of that nature. Now, if I'm doing, and that even would apply from a 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock elbow. So here, horizontal strike, 12 to 6, but if I'm doing or a 6 to 12, but if I'm doing a 12 to 6, which there again, I think the 12 to 6 elbow is not allowed, like in MMA fighting, really, especially in the UFC, where it's like this, because of the power that can be gained from the torso and leverage and pulling the arm down. But that striking area is going to be on the very back of the elbow, right where your tricep area attaches to the bone. So right in here and right in there. The next thing to kind of think about is preparation of the elbow. So preparation for the horizontal elbow strike, one, when I prepare, my fist placement is very important. So my fist should always be right in front of the shoulder. And there again, ideally when I prepare, time allows me, I want to prepare at the fullest, because I want to have a full range of motion on the swing. So if I can get my elbow back, I'm going to be able to develop a little bit more velocity, trajectory, inertia, and just striking power with that elbow. One thing I don't want to do with my fist is I don't want to drop it down here and do that. I've left this open, and this could be bad if my opponent is really close, because they could stick an arm in all the way through and push me around, and now I'm caught like this. So I just need to kind of make sure that fist is right in front of the shoulder as I pull. The other thing is, when I prepare and when you practice, things don't always work out the way we want, even when we practice really, really well. So the more we try to practice perfect, even in a kind of odd scenario, hopefully I'm going to do the right thing right. And what I'm saying is, I really don't want to come up at an angle like this necessarily. I want to always try to get in the habit of preparing with my elbow up, not up here, but just on the same plane as existence as my fist and shoulder. So all 3 points, elbow, fist, shoulder, are in the same plane, ideally at the point of preparation. Now, to gain the maximum force, this comes down to leverage, which is dependent upon how I'm anchored to the ground, my feet. So ideally, if my left leg is in front, I'm going to be striking with my right elbow, all right? Doesn't necessarily have to always work out that way. I can strike like that too, right? I can strike like that too, right? But I do get more leverage if the opposite leg is in front, just like, boxing, punching, what have you. Just basic body mechanics and getting leverage. So you want to think about what foot you're going to have when you practice a repetitive motion. It could be on a heavy bag, you could be on a Makiwara, or some other type of, or maybe just with a partner holding a focus pad up. But that repetitive motion, I just want to make sure that I'm working on initially doing it slow and getting good technique. There again, I'm not standing straight up, but I'm not very wide either. And then I want to be able to practice with both arms. I want to be adept with both hands and both feet being in front. So there again, that's the horizontal elbow strike. Now the 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock strike, we would see a lot in old Okinawan karate schools where a lot of kumite work is done. And you have different types of kumite, but one type of kumite is just what we call one-step sparring. All it is really self-defense maneuvers, all right? A lot of people practice Krav Maga. Same thing here, but this has been going on for hundreds of years in Okinawan karate. So this strike would be done grabbing an opponent. Could be I've kicked, the opponent's doubled over, and I'm going to step in with that 6 to 12 o'clock motion. Just opposite of that, once again, is the 12 to 6 motion. But there again, that's because if my target is the head of my opponent has been doubled over for some reason. I've struck him, he's fallen, he's getting back up, but my target is either stationary or it's in transit, but it's below my upper body for that 12 to 6. Now next is the concept of the elbow being a defensive maneuver. And that would be with something that's coming in at my body, and 9 times out of 10 in they're getting old school Okinawan karate, what's coming in? It's a kick from another adept martial artist who's throwing a front kick. It could be a side kick. It might even be some sort of a full roundhouse kick coming in at the torso. I may have left myself open to appear to be open while I'm waiting on that technique to come in. And so there again, it's coming around. I'm going to drive my elbow into the ankle area of my opponent. I could be kind of like so, and I'm leaving myself open here. All right, and that side kick is coming in. I'm going to drive my elbow down on the top side of that ankle right here. Excruciating pain. Seen it happen hundreds of times when I trained overseas and here in the States. But I also could have employed where I've kind of pushed my opponent into a position. He's done a full roundhouse kick. I've left myself open. I catch the kick, drive it down, and that's going to force him into a spin move where he's going to want to throw a side kick, and I'm waiting on the side kick. Down comes my elbow on the ankle. And in a future lesson tutorial, I'll try to use one of my students to demonstrate in real person kind of how that works. But there again, those are your 2 concepts of how you could use elbows. One is offense, one is defense. If it's offense, primarily you're going to be seeing a horizontal strike. You could, in a defense situation as well, you could have a 6 to 12 strike. You could have a 12 to 6 strike. Now, if you're a martial artist and you're a karate practitioner, if you are in a Japanese karate practitioner, you have some katas which are called tiki katas. In Okinawan karate, we have what's called naihanchi. My style of karate is shobukan. The very first kata is naihanchi in Shobukan karate, and the very first move in that naihanchi kata, believe it or not, is an elbow. But it's after I've grabbed the back of the head or hair or collar of my opponent and I pulled him into a horizontal elbow strike. So just think the very first movement of the very first kata in Shobukan karate is very, it's very brutal right off the bat. But there again, that's old school Okinawan karate. That's kind of just how it was and how it still is today. But I hope you've enjoyed the video. Hope it was a little insightful. Drop me any questions you might have. Subscribe to my channel because I'll be coming out with more of these one time per week. And hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much.